like, Kobe, why are you piping up about anything to do with the men's movement when you're a woman? Why couldn't you let Anthony explain what the men's movement is? Now, see, this is like the second or third time, Kobe, you didn't butt into some conversations that had nothing to do with you. And I like you, Kobe, but I'm going to need you to mind your business and stop butting in where you don't need to butt in, okay? You doing too much. You was butting in down to the lavender field and spilling all Brandon and Kristina's tea. Now you butting in right here like, girl, you don't need to speak up right now. Not at all. And I'm with Brandon. What is the men's movement? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brandy Yvonne channel. Of course, I'm your girl, Brandy Yvonne. Here at my channel, we do fun recaps, reviews, and discussions of all of our favorite shows, y'all. This video, we are talking Owns, Love and Marriage Detroit. This is season 1, episode 9, titled You've Got to Come Back to Detroit. Before we get into anything, y'all, I would really appreciate y'all clicking that thumbs up button, subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the content, share it with your peoples where you like to share, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode. I'm just powering through this, y'all, because I was not feeling that well today. I don't know why I have like really low energy, so I'm trying to get some rest. But anywho, I'm gonna try to give y'all my energy though. I'm gonna try. So anywho, they put that title because y'all know Marsau Scott gonna be on the episode. Yes. Anyway, before we get into it, I will say I thought this episode was so great. It was a little bit snooze fest. However, I will say they finally moved the story forward somewhat and tied up some of these things they keep rehashing. And then we got some new stuff happening with Brandon and his mom. So that was the thing I did appreciate about this particular episode. But anywho, I'm still ready for Detroit to wrap up. And where is DC? Carlos King, where is Love and Marriage DC at? You treating DC like the stepchild. That's wrong. Anyway, episode opens up where they left off with the men still arguing down to the beach. I was like, y'all are still arguing. Brandon said Anthony was so close he could smell what he had for lunch, so he needed to back it up. Anthony's talking about, dog, we should be able to talk to each other. I'm still going to rock with you. I'm still going to do business with you. I'm going to still study the word with you. We can still have Bible study. But, we need better be able to talk things out. And so Brandon said, I'll think about it. Brandy was pants and he dust. So anywho, my ear about to cut back on y'all if y'all hear that. The ladies over on the boat having a good old time, talking about Kobe, talking about she want to spice it up. They was like, yeah, because Russell want his junior, but she ain't trying to pop out another baby. She said she tired. She ain't trying to have 2 kids under 2 years old. She ain't doing it. I was like, Kobe, you tired already, girl? Sheesh, but I feel it. I ain't got none. So, and I know I would be tired. So anyway, the women get back to the beach and they asked the men what they did. They just said they had a beach party. They didn't really give no details. All right, so everybody's getting ready for dinner because it's the last night at the winery, thank God. So they only show Brandon and Kristina getting ready, really. And Brandon tells Kristina about what happened on the beach, how him and Anthony rehashed their conversation once again. And he's like, yeah, he's trying to bring your boy to the showcase, Lyrique. And so Kristina shares that she did know Lyrique from back in the day. She knew him as Sean, and they did music together. This was way before she even, she said this is way before she even met Brandon. I thought she said before she came to Detroit as well. Correct me if I'm wrong about that in the comments, because I was like, didn't she grow up in Detroit? But I could be wrong. Anyway, or maybe before she came back to Detroit. I don't know. So she said things did get weird between them because she could tell he liked her, so she had to keep pushing on him. So anyway, Brandon, he's feeling like, the same way, Kristina, you feel like Dr. Latoya has something against you. Am I wrong to feel like that with Anthony towards me? And, they agree they're not wrong to feel they feel. And I agree, like Anthony and Dr. Latoya don't like y'all. They don't. They think they're better than you. And that's what it is. And it shows clearly on the screen. And Russell and Colby are not mutual. They definitely are on the Thompson side. And it's sad to see, but that's how it is. And I don't know what side. Bravo, I think he just trying to stay out the mess. Him and Lakeita. So they get down to the dinner table. They hired a chef for the last night. He's preparing lamb chops and some vegan crab cakes for Kristina. So I wasn't sure for sure if Kristina was the vegan. It looked like it was her. And so then she did tweet me back and said that, yes, she is vegan. I asked her how many years. I don't think she replied back yet, but I'll update with y'all with that next week. So yeah, vegan. Kristina is a vegan. Anywho, that food was looking good though. And Anthony taking pictures with the wine, talking about, yeah, you know, Kobe could take good pictures, but my content is better. And I was like, let Kobe have her content creator job, Anthony. Like, please stop, sir. So anywho, let me adjust this, y'all. So they's at the table. Kristina pulled out her box of questions, question box, whatever it's called, lock box. Who cares? Let's get a conversation going for production, right? So Kobe was like, every time Kristina bring out this box, it don't go well. I was like, well, when else has she brought out the box? Because it's first time. This is y'all first season. Oh my goodness. So, you know, you're supposed to write a question. She said, keep it cute. Write a little question on the box that you want to answer, something you want resolved. So I thought it was going to be a drama thing, but it really wasn't nothing at all. She had Dr. Latoya pull the first question, and she said, it said something about like, what can you do? What can a woman do to please her man sexually or get it popping in the bedroom or something like that? So Brandon damn near choked on his food when she read it for whatever reason. And so Bravo said, he said fellatio is one of the best ways to get it popping. He said, just put it out and get to it. I said, Lakita, is that what you do, girl? Do you have to just pull it out on Bravo and get to it, girl? I ain't mad at y'all. So anywho, girl, you better listen to what Bravo said, girl. So, they were talking about, like, the women were saying, like, we know, like, sometimes the men want the women to initiate, and Brandon confirmed that. He's like, yeah, we want y'all to come on to us sometimes, and we want to feel like the sexy one sometimes. He's like, when I say we, I mean me, Anthony, and Bravo, because Russell, you know, he got his own stuff going on. Because, you know, Russell already got his body together, so he could feel sexy all the time. But Bravo and Brandon and Anthony ain't got their body together like that. So that's basically what Brandon was saying. And he was saying, you know, Russell already got a lot to him. And Kobe was like, yeah, Russell got a lot going on. I was like, yeah, girl, your man, he be working out, girl. So anywho, Russell said, you know, I'm tired. This has been great, but I'm going to bed, y'all. It looked like he was faking it to me. He was like trying to make himself look tired. He was tired of filming, okay? So then the women decided to do a bonfire. And so they go down and do a little fire by the house. And Latoya and Kristina rehashed their issues. This was such a waste. But anyway, Kristina was like, yeah, I just want to talk to you, Dr. Latoya, because basically every time there's an argument or things going on in the group, you seem to blame me or feel like I caused it or it's my fault, and I'm not really sure why. Like, do you have something against me? And so Dr. Latoya said no, she doesn't have nothing against her, but like when her and Kristina and Kobe were arguing, and even Brandon and Kristina were arguing, like, as a friend, she tries to figure out how she can intervene and help. I didn't know my light was off, y'all. Anywho, and she was like, you know, even if it has nothing to do with me or not, I'm gonna jump in it. Kristina feels like, okay, if you really a friend, like, why don't you address it in the moment when it happens and not wait and address it later? Like Keita was saying, like, y'all friends, y'all gonna be friends, y'all gotta move on. You know, Keita's trying to get on the show. Kobe's like, y'all gonna squash it. And so Kristina's like, yeah, I'm moving forward. Anything I did, anything I said is trash. I'm moving forward. I'm gonna let bygones be bygones. Bygones be bygones. Y'all know how they say it. And Dr. Toy's like, yep, me too, sure, yeah. And so Kristina's like, are you good with me? And Dr. Toy's like, I don't have anything. They both are like, yeah, we're moving on. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's go. Let's move on. And I was like, it's giving fake for me. But okay, we're moving on. Anyway, we get back to Detroit, and we see Mr. Bravo at his, it looks like he's opening another business or something, I'm not sure. Looks like a daiquiri bar. I was like, where that at? I mean, it's at Detroit, but I was like, I want some. So anywho, Anthony came by, and Bravo said he wanted to, you know, invite another speaker to the man's movement, and he said he known Marsau Scott for some time, and Marsau Scott has black, and he done this, and he's done all that, and he really put Huntsville on the map. And I said, Marsau did not put no Huntsville on the map. Now, the show, Love and Marriage Huntsville, I will say probably put Huntsville on the map, but not just Marsau Scott, no. You giving Marsau way too much, Bravo, I'm sorry. So Marsau came with his black shirt on, and I guess they're trying to open up another black in Detroit. So anyway, Anthony explains like what he wants to do with the man movement and all that. Marsau gives his, super, how Marsau try to speak like he's just so enlightened, saying that, black men, all the propaganda about us and we're really not violent as people say and we're more so thinkers and this and that. All right, great. Okay, so then we get over across town to Brandon's mama house, Kathy. We get to meet Mama Kathy, y'all. And Mama Kathy is white as snow, y'all. And we didn't know Brandon had a white mama. So anywho, he goes over there for his birthday. I guess it's like a yearly tradition, he said. And his mom makes him some kind of cherry chip cake that he likes. I've never heard of that. Anyway, he's trying to get a piece of this cake. And she's like, no, you gotta read that card first. And so he said him and his mom don't really communicate. They don't really have a good relationship. It's like hi and bye, but it's really nothing to it. And he just wants to try to, start therapy and get his mom going with a therapy session with him as well. So he tells his mom how, he really wants to get into therapy and he has a lot of communication issues with his marriage and things like that. And how, he wasn't really held accountable. They didn't really talk about things growing up. And there was a lot of trauma there. And so they played the flashback of Kristina saying that. And so the mom asked, well, did you feel like you experienced trauma? And so Brandon was like, well, yeah, it definitely was trauma, like growing up in the hood with a white mom. Like, I always felt like a little weird or a little bit different. Mama Kathy said it was trauma for her growing up being in the hood as a white person, okay? She said she had to deal with being all y'all Negroes in the hood, okay? Don't tell her about trauma. I was cracking up at that part, y'all. So anyway, Brandon did explain in the confessional that he didn't spend a lot of time with his dad growing up until after his parents split up, and then he did spend more time with his dad. But he always felt, different because his mom was white and all that good stuff. So anyway, he tells her like he wants to go to therapy and he wants them to go to therapy together to work on their issues. And she was like, well, she don't want to be doing this all the time because it's just like one more thing to do. I was like, dang, Mama Kathy. And so he's like, well, I'm busy too. I get it. And so she said, and Mama Kathy got a confessional, y'all. She had a whole confessional. So she said in the confessional that, she's okay with going to therapy, but she's fine with the way their relationship is right now. She don't have no problem with it. She ain't checking for Brandon. I'm sorry to say it, Brandon, but your mama not really checking for you. And I get it, okay? Trust me. If anybody knows me personally, I get it, okay? So anyway, I've experienced a little bit of that. So, anyway, what was I going to say? So she said she'll go to therapy. She just hoping it ain't going to be something she got to do forever, for a long time, every week or something like that. She ain't checking for it like that. Okay. So anyway, we get to this man's movement, y'all, and we see it's pouring down rain. And I think Dr. Latoya getting out the car with no jacket and an umbrella. I was like, where's the umbrella? Dr. Latoya's like, why you didn't have an umbrella? I was like, yeah, like what's happening? Y'all need to keep an umbrella in the car. What is going on? So anyway, they get there, it's empty. Don't look like nothing set up. I was like, where's the tables? Where's the chairs? The man, I think his name is Jesse or something like that, he run around looking like he's supposed to be setting up something, but he ain't setting up nothing. Dr. Latoya's like, where's the tables? Where's the tablecloth? Where's the sign? The sign being done at the last minute. I never did see the sign. He was giving very much thrown together. Anthony, very much thrown together. Then Russell and Colby came, and Bravo and Lakita came. And I was like, why did the wives come? I'm not sure. Brandon came. Kristina couldn't come because their daughter, Britton, hurt herself, so she had to stay with the kids, right? Marsau came. Anthony was like, where's the men at? He don't want, this not to go well and embarrass himself in front of Marsau. And so Brandon was like, there's no men in this movement. Like, there's nobody here. Brandon was like, where are the men's? So then they were worried because it's raining. Black people don't like to get wet. We don't like to get out in the rain. All that good stuff. So eventually some men did show up, including Dr. Latoya's dad, the bishop. And so Brandon said his confessional, it looked like it's like 24 men there. He don't understand what kind of men's movement is that, okay? So that's when he said, is it men, no movement, okay? So Anthony kind of laid out what it was. They all had to stand up. The women were sitting to the side. I don't know why they even were still there. And the men, maybe just to shoot the scene, I'm assuming. And then the men were just all standing up. And I was like, this is awkward. Like, why couldn't they sit down? And then Bishop went up there and spoke about it and saying that men need to step up and things like that. And so Anthony did say that the men's movement is to focus on like policy, politics, business, entrepreneurship. I think he said men's health, education, gender, things like that. So I think there's some good things in there. I think he needs to just kind of focus it maybe more, but I mean, it's a good start. I ain't gonna take that away from him. So anyway, Marsau spoke. He's saying his stupid stuff to if you want to make a movement is just not something you do. You want to make a movement, you can sit on the toilet. He's like, something you have to be. I was like, Marsau, why are you here? Anyway, then since the rain stopped, they went on a march. And Bravo's like, we ain't got no blowhorns, we ain't got no signs, we ain't got no speakers. Like, what is this? I don't know if it was Russell or Brandon was like, we just walking, like, what is going on here? And I was like, y'all just literally walked around the block. And Russell or Anthony was shouting out different businesses and how they can put $1,000 together to help with business out, and they ain't even got to get a loan. And it was just like, what was the point? What was the point? And so then they got back to where they started, and Marsau said, you know, it was a good start, you know, it was a nice walk, but, you know, we got to definitely do more, you got to step it up. And he was like low-key shading Anthony, okay? So Marsau left, everybody left, so then it's just the cast, really. And so Brandon was like, you know, this is really good, this is a good turnout. But however, like, I'm still unclear, like, what is the man's movement about? And I was kind of feeling the same way. So, Brandon was, so then Kobe pipes up. Now, this is what I don't like about Kobe. And now this, Kobe, don't do this ever again. So Kobe said, well, to me, you know, when I first met Anthony, and I didn't really know him well, and at the Father's Day barbecue picnic, I didn't really understand the man's movement either, but now after talking with him and getting to know him, I really understand what it is. It's very clear on that piece of paper. It's very clear. And so then in her confessional, she gonna say, oh yeah, I don't understand how Brandon doesn't understand what the man's movement is. Did he not read the paper? He just got read it 30 minutes before the event or something. Like, how does he not understand what the man's movement is? Either he just doesn't understand it and he just read the paper, or he just wants to try to embarrass Anthony or make Anthony, you know, feel bad. And I say the latter. And I'm like, Kobe, why are you piping up about anything to do with the man's movement when you're a woman? Why couldn't you let Anthony explain what the man's movement is? Now, see, this is like the second or third time, Kobe, you didn't butt into some conversations that had nothing to do with you. And I like you, Kobe, but I'm gonna need you to mind your business and stop butting in where you don't need to butt in, okay? You doing too much. You was butting in down to the lavender field and spilling all Brandon and Kristina's tea. Now you butting in right here, like, girl, you don't need to speak up right now, not at all. And I'm with Brandon, what is the man's movement? So Brandon was like, you know, I had a whole speech prepared for all these hundreds of men, and I just not understanding what we doing. So Anthony was like, you know, that's okay, Brandon didn't understand. He said, you know, he didn't have a good turnout, but God blessed him. God showed him that it was about quality and substance, not quantity. I was like, sure, Anthony. He said he usually do things bigger than this, but, you know, it was okay to have a small turnout this time. Sure, sure. Show me the bigger then, please. Anywho, and then the very last scene, like I said, this episode didn't have nothing going on, y'all. The very last scene, we do see Brandon and Kristina at their penthouse apartment in the sky. And so Brandon's gonna have his first therapy session. He said he's definitely nervous about the therapy session, and so Kristina is excited and hoping that they can really rehash their issues and get some, you know, clarity and all that. So I believe the therapist's name was Kalia. Well, first Mama Kathy came knocking on the door like she was the police. They was like, is that your mama? Is that your mama? And it was her. She came with her mask on. Mama Kathy said, y'all ain't gonna get her no germs. So Mama Kathy came and sat down, and then Kalia, the therapist, came. I believe that was her name, and she was recommended to Brandon by Russell. And so Brandon said in his confessional, you know, one of his biggest worries about this situation is that what if he's sitting there crying his eyes out and his mom is just, you know, sitting there not really giving any emotion at all. And I said, that's exactly what we about to see. So he said, but his expectation is to come out of this, you know, with enlightenment and growth and all that. And I'm glad that at least Brandon's open to the process, right? So they sit down and had this therapy session, and so Kalia says, I don't think it said Dr. Kalia, so we're just gonna call her Kalia. Kalia said that, you know, talking about what brought them there today and how Brandon's evolving his career and his business is growing, and talking about dealing with relationships and things like that. Brandon explains, so she's like, well, how did we get here today? So Mama Kathy let Brandon talk, and Brandon explains that him and his mom don't really communicate. They don't really open up to each other. It's more of like high and by, like he said. And so he says his mom did give him love and support and was there for him, but not as much in certain ways, I guess, maybe. And so mom's piped up and said, well, I was there for him. I did try to talk to him. I would try to like ask him how he felt about things, try to pull things out of him, but he would never answer. He would never say anything. So I eventually got tired of asking him, and I would give up. And I would ask him, how you feel about this? What do you think about this? And he would just put his thumb in his mouth and turn his back away. And so I think I said, he put his thumb in his mouth, he had to be really little, right? And so Brandon was like, I was putting my thumb in my mouth, like, how old was I at that time? And I'm thinking the same thing. So she said 8 years old or younger. She said, I'm not really sure, but you were like a kid. You were like a kid. And so Brandon, his confessional, said, my mom was saying, like, she tried to talk to me and I wasn't really giving anything. And he's like, I don't want, you know, ever think my mom to think I wasn't trying to talk to her. But at the same time, like, I was a kid at that time. So for him, that's not an excuse for his mom not to talk to him anymore, to just give up. And I agree, he was a kid. So then at that point, Mama Kathy, you should have tried to maybe bring the dad in or another family member in, or consult with somebody, try another way, because obviously whatever way you were doing it was not good, or maybe he didn't feel safe or comfortable. And I'm not, you know, trying to dog on Mama Kathy. I know parents do the best they can when they can, but I just didn't like how Mama Kathy blamed him, and he was a kid, for not opening up. You're blaming a kid. It's really giving, you didn't give a healthy environment for him to feel safe to open up, is what I think personally. So then you know, they talked about, you know, how they can move the relationship forward. And so Brandon wants to like communicate with his mom more. And so Mama Kathy said, well, I do want to like talk to you more sometimes. And so Khalil was like, hold up. How did you receive that, Brandon? And Brandon said it sounded like I could, you know, take it or leave it, basically. She said, repeat that. He's like, basically sound like, you know, if it happened, it happened. It don't, it don't. And so then he kind of cried, and Mama Kathy was sitting up there with no emotion. I told y'all that's what was going to happen, okay? Anyway, next episode, we see the therapy session continues. Mama Kathy says she ain't checking to talk to Brandon every day. Do y'all talk to y'all mama every day? Let me know in the comments, because I don't talk to my mama every day. I don't know anybody that I talk to. Maybe my sister. Me and my sister are the closest to like everyday talk. But like, I don't talk to my parents every day. No. But some people do. I'm not knocking those who do. And that's a blessing if you have that kind of relationship with your parents. That is truly a blessing, and hold on to that. But let me know in the comments. Do y'all talk to y'all mama every day, or your daddy, or whoever? Anyway, I do used to talk to my grandma every day when she was living. I will say that. But we lived in the house together. So anyway, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.